She's funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karis's Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karis, and this is the guest edition of Karis's Comedy Corner. I'm very excited about our guest today, but before we start, we have to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Baywalk Marketing. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with any type of a flyer. They can help you analyze the demographics of your business. They are also experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, to find out where all the Greek entertainment is, hellenicfestivals.org to find out where the Greek festivals are. There will be Greek entertainment and Greek festivals. I know it. We thank them. Baywalk Marketing is the company. Baywalk.net is the website. And our other sponsor is Select Flex. What is it? It is an orthotic. What's an orthotic? It's also called an insert, and you put it in your shoe. Why? Because you need it for your entire body, your hips, your back, your knees, your entire alignment, because everything starts from the foot. And what is very different about these orthotics is that there is an adjustability in the arch where you can adjust the arch to firm, or extra firm, depending on what your needs are. I do not work out without these. I have them in all of my shoes. They're great now that the winter's here. If you're wearing your Uggs, because Uggs have no support, although they look lovely, these are absolutely fantastic. Go to their website, selectflex.com, selectflex.com. There's a 30-second video to show you how it works. This is state of the art, and I always say they are the best invention since suitcase on wheels. And also for Karis Comedy Corner listeners, there is a 25% discount. If you put in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY25, you get a 25% discount. Selectflex.com, and we also thank them for their support. Okay, very excited. I love this lady. I don't get to work with her enough. Hopefully I will. I did work with her the other night on a virtual show, and I was cracking up. I love her energy. I love what she says. I love the fact that she takes no crap from anybody. She's fantastic. We got to ride on a subway ride together last year, and we had such a great conversation. So a comedian, actress, podcast host. She's got her own cartoon of herself. Please give it up for my guest, Christy Miller.
Hi, beautiful.
Thank you, baby. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on your show. This is going to be so much fun.
I know. My pleasure. Listen, I love doing this. I love meeting people and finding out their stories. And, that's why I like this podcast, an hour. This way it's like free flowing and we can say whatever we want, and no matter what the topic is. But it's been great too, because I got to know people even a little bit better. And,
right.
And I definitely have, of course, a tendency to always have females, and in particular, of course, females in the arts. And a subset of that is female comedians, because we are our own sect. We are our own. We've got our own dynamic going. We have our own challenges.
Oh yeah.
And then we're the New York female comedians, as opposed to the LA female comedians. And,
yes.
So and the longer you do it, the more you see that it really is a community. And I was listening to Whitney Cummings the other day, and she was talking about female comedians, and I'm really glad she said this. And she said that she felt like there was a support system. I think she said something like she didn't feel it as much when she was first coming up, but now that she does. And I kind of always have felt that way. But of course, when I came in, I was, you're new, so you don't know, and
Right.
you also, for us that have more experience, we've been doing it this way, we're going to connect obviously more, because we know more about what this life is like and what this business is like. But I love the New York female comedian community, and I really do have to say that as much as, there are some people now in this lockdown that are like really lonely. They're not in a relationship. They don't have a roommate. They don't have family around. I mean, for those people, I feel really bad for. I mean, I've seen my sister, I've seen people, not as much, but I haven't seen really my female comedian friends like you
Right.
guys. I really haven't seen. I think I took one walk with Carol Montgomery in the park in June, I mean,
Right.
I haven't seen that type of thing. And about 2 months ago, it really hit me. Just like I would see you at Broadway Comedy Club. Hey, how you doing? Just to hang out, just to watch you live. And even though I got to see you the other night, which you were hilarious. And I want to talk about a couple of things that you said.
Okay.
But and that was great, of course, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Right? Do you feel lonely a little somewhat?
Yeah. I feel pretty isolated. I mean, I know I do a lot of Zoom shows with all you guys, so I get to see you. And it was nice seeing you the other night when we did the show. I was like, oh my God, Ellen. And I was all late getting there because, that's how I am. But it was but it's nice to see people, but it's not the same. It's not that in person, like squad that we actually have.
Yes.
There is, like you were mentioning earlier about Whitney saying that she feels it more now, the female camaraderie as opposed. Absolutely. Absolutely. When I started out, the girls were cutthroat because it was really hard 25 years ago when I started for girls to get stage time, so it's really hard. And as the times have gotten deeper, as we've gotten older and people have evolved a little more and open up the doors, it's still sad that it's 2021 and we still have to have all female shows, like a theme, and it has all Black show, all Latino show, all female show. And it's harder. So, but when we started, we were fighting for that stage time. It was like every 8 or 9 male comics, there'd be one female.
Right. And well, I'm okay with a little bit of a theme show because sometimes you're targeting a specific audience.
So, that's different.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that type of thing, but what you're saying, and I want people to understand this, if they put 3 female comics on a show, they will naturally call it an all-female show.
Yep.
As opposed to if it's a 3-man show, they never say it's an all 3 male
show. Yep.
And then when we're on the lineup, people need to understand that the ratio is not even. It's always, if it's a 3-person show, there's 1 female comic and 2, and it's not necessarily, not always the headliner. They're more the men. And again, this is not male bashing.
No, not at all.
This is just the stats. This isn't about not loving many of our male comedians counterparts at all.
Absolutely.
It's just the way that it is. And for some reason, we can't seem to break this barrier. It's really weird. It's really weird.
It's a really weird, like thin line now. Like it's like teeters on, is it all female because they have to make it an all female lineup to get women stage time? Or is it just happen to be that these are the comics that were available and they got booked?
Right.
And it's so funny that when it's an all male lineup, nobody questions it. Nobody goes, wow, that was an awful lot of men on that show. They talked about pussy the whole damn night. Like it was getting redundant. No one ever says that. Yeah. But when they have females, like, they're like, oh my God, it's another girl comic. And it's like the stigma that's in people's heads. And it's so funny. It's like, why can't people just be funny?
And so I completely agree with that. So no matter male or female, you got to go up and deliver. You can't.
Thank you. Yes.
Whatever
Yes.
it is, you got to deliver. You got to do the jokes. You got to do the job. It's a job. Yeah. It's a job. But I do. I know. It's the people that book, of course, and some have changed, some haven't.
Yeah.
But it's also the audience, it's the public. That's why I like to talk about it And I don't mean to sound like a broken record. And again, I don't mean any malice toward anybody, but I feel like the more I can talk about it and put it out in the ether, maybe I can help with the change.
Yeah, it's energy forward, energy out, energy back in.
All of a sudden, I'm Martin Luther King. You know what I mean?
Hilarious. I had a dream that little girl comics and little boy comics could go on stage hand in hand and tell dick jokes.
Right. I had a dream that someday you'll have an all-female show and you'll just call it a show. Not a female show, right? I know. It's like I go crazy. So, I'm feeling a little, like your tribe. You know what I mean? Like I miss my tribe. And again, it's completely. Not that we hung out every weekend. It's not like we hung out.
But we know each other are there.
Right.
Like I always know you're there.
Right.
And you always know I'm there. And we're all in this like underlying, you don't have to say it. It's just this understanding that we have each other's back and that the sisterhood is there. And I've noticed because, I started in LA and then, at the Comedy Store for 10 years. And then I came here and it's definitely different here. And I found, at the Comedy Store, we're a dysfunctional family. Like when you're a store comic, you're in. It don't matter if you're male or female. You're a store comic. And that was a thing I loved. So I was actually able to be raised in a functionally, in a weird, because Mitzi loved female comic. She loved funny women. And she didn't, if you were funny, you were going to work. And that was it. She didn't care if you're a boy or a girl. But she really loved, when she found a funny woman, she spoiled you. And it was nice to be like at the store where you're accepted. If you're funny, they don't care. And certain clubs here, like, certain times, you've done shows where you're funny or, you throw down and a guy can't follow you and then they treat you like shit afterwards or they try to shit. They can't follow you. And it's like, come on, dude, just do your shit. Why do you have to fucking, be a dick just because I killed and why don't you fucking kill? You should be funny. You're on the line of, do your fucking job. Like you said, you have one fucking job, do it,
Yeah, it's ego. It's ego.
Yep.
But let me ask you something. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in California?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I remember having that conversation. Where did you grow in
the San Francisco Bay Area?
Okay, my memory was right. And then so how did this all happen for you? Like, what was your sort of your did you go to school? Like, just to give you a bit my background,
yes.
I'm a CPA. Like I started my life as an accountant, which is
yes.
And I worked on Wall Street. So I had a completely, I'm a New York Greek with the traditional home. Like that was my.
Oh, that's a boys club.
It's yeah.
That's a boys club. You went from one boys club to
everything. Well, what's funny? Accounting was very, especially at the time that I was in, it was pretty male oriented.
Right.
I mean, by the time I got into it, my level had a lot of females, but all the bosses were men.
Of course.
And then I went to Wall Street. So I worked in an investment bank. And that was all, that was very male dominated. Again, it's it's certainly changing. And when I got there were more women, but there were men, on the top, it was mostly men.
Right.
And then I went to comedy, and I'm going to tell you this. I've said this a million times before. Entertainment, show business, acting. I've tried to, be an actress and whatnot. And stand up is more sexist than accounting and then Wall Street, which Wall Street having such a horrible reputation.
Right.
This was 1960, 65. Okay.
I believe
that was the 80s. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So which is interesting because you think entertainment, show business, more of open-minded,
not at all. Not at all.
It's the opposite. So, so anyway, that was my thing. But what about you? So you grew up where is San Francisco? In San Francisco.
In San Francisco, I lived in Alameda. I lived in Petaluma. And then I grew up in Pacifica. I started in Pacifica, San Francisco, Petaluma, then Alameda, and then went down south to West Hollywood.
Did you go to school or like when you were in high school or college or trade school to do anything specific or?
I graduated high school and said, fuck this. I'm not doing shit. I went to work full time. I had a union job. I worked in the grocery industry and, I worked at a grocery store, which was union. It was great money for a 19-year-old, like, and a 20-year-old. And then I quit that and moved down south to do the acting thing because my best friend moved down to LA and she was working on a film and she talked me into it. So I said, fuck it, let's do it. And I moved down there. And since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a comedian, like watching all the comedy specials on Showtime, like when Showtime came out, seeing all the Showtime specials, HBO specials. And I would watch all these shows like, like Evening at the Improv, and like Comedy Tonight that was filmed in San Francisco, the San Francisco Big Laugh Off. Like I would watch all these shows. I was obsessed. I listened to comedy albums, but I never thought, oh, I can't do that. That's for funny people. But I was always like funny. So when I was down in LA, I was working on a movie called Strange Days for a few months. And then it wrapped. And my best friend at the time, Kira, she's like, if you don't get on stage, I'm going to kick your ass. You have to go do an open mic. She goes, I'm sick of listening to you thinking about it. So I said, okay. I said, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the Comedy Store and I'm going to apply for a job as a waitress. If I get the job as a waitress, that means I'm supposed to be there and I'm supposed to do stand-up. If I don't get the job, that's the sign saying, nope, take another route. So I went to the Comedy Store that next day and within 5 minutes had the job, sat with the day manager, Dave Schuler at the time, for 3.5 hours, drinking coffee, laughing, talking shit, having so much fun. So I was like, all right, I'm supposed to be here. And that was like September of 95. And then December, my friend Freddie Soto, the late Freddie Soto, he was doing an open mic, like the employee comics, like Freddie Soto was an employee, Bob Oshak. All these guys were all employee comics, like Doorman, Cover Booth to get stage time.
Mark Maron.
Right? Yep. All those guys. So Freddie's like, he goes, you're going to go on stage Monday if it kills me. He goes, you're going on. I'm sick of hearing you talk about that you want to. So I prepared my little 3 minutes. It was like torture. And everybody came upstairs to the belly room to watch my first set. Like every paid regular that was there that night, everybody. And it was like, I had a great set, cause I was being stupid, but I don't even remember the stupid things I was saying cause it was dumb, but I had a really great experience. Everybody told me how funny I was and to pursue it. So that was it.
Wow. That's big. I mean, you went for it. You didn't hesitate. You just went for it. And first of all, when you say Kira, is that Kira Saldanovich?
No, no, she was there, but she showed up at the Comedy Store later. Sweet girl. No, my friend Kira Tashian. She was an actress and did stunt work. So did you ever do stunt work?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So is that right? That's part of what you do. I mean, you are in like incredible shape. You bodybuild, I don't
bodybuild. I do powerlifting and strength training. So I train for performance, not for looks.
Okay. You see what a weenie I am. So
no.
It's like, oh my God.
No one ever thinks, what's powerlifting? That's not a workout. Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh my God. You're a great job. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but so you went to the Comedy Store. So first of all, if people have not seen, it just came out a couple of months ago, that documentary on Showtime on the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I thought it was so well done. And I realize I'm a comic. I'm not being biased. I thought it was really well produced.
Mike Binder did it. He did the damn thing.
It was great. It was edited well. It was, because sometimes these things become very sloppy and whatnot. And I just thought it was so good. There was really a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah. He hit every decade.
Right.
And the dark years from 95 to 05 was when I was there.
Wow. And what was that
So
like?
it was
Was that
bad.
the strike? Was that when the strike?
No, that was the 80s. The strike was in
Okay.
the 80s. The 90s were the late 90s and 2000, that 10 years there was when comedy took a dive. Like when the internet came out in the early 90s and people started watching YouTube and watching clips online. They're like, why go to a comedy club? So the comedy club, it was after the writer's strike. The writer's strike was earlier and then, or around that time, but comedy took this dive like this, where there was nights at the Comedy Store, and it's in the documentary. It's all true. Like I'm laughing during the documentary. I'm crying because I'm remembering all this shit. And I can tell you, I was really bummed that I didn't still live in LA when Mike did this documentary, because I just wanted to be a part of it. That's, just because that's my home. But it was so well done. And the dark years that they were talking about, like there was nights you'd call up, is the show even starting? Because was there any audience? No, we would, like, the Comedy Store was hurting financially. We thought it was going to close. Eddie Griffin bought a roof for it. Kirk Fox had all of our names painted on the building in 2001, I think it was, or 2000. He paid to have all, because Mitzi had all the names painted. She would put the new paid regulars up every year. And it had been like 10 years since the names had been put up because she didn't have the money to pay. So Kirk Fox, out of his pocket, paid to have all of our names put on the wall. Joe Rogan paid for some shit. There was a leaky ceiling, and like it was like the comics, like we robbed Peter to pay Paul to keep this place alive. We thought, oh, we're going to close, it's going to become a strip joint, Paulie's going to turn into a strip joint or a porn theater. Like we were all upset. So like we would be going to the Hyatt next door and the Standard down the street, all the hotels, and the Mondrian, and leaving free tickets on the concierge desk. Like, please give these to the guests. Please hand these out. They're free tickets. All they have to do is a 2-drink minimum. We just wanted to get the people in the doors, because there was nights you'd go, like you had like a 9:30 spot and you're like, why should I even show up? Is there an audience? Did the show even start yet? And sometimes the 8 o'clock show wouldn't start till like 9:30, 9:45, because there'd be no people. And then if we finally got a few people, and then we'd start the show. It was really dark at that point. And, after I left in 2005, and it was just starting to pick up a little bit. But I guess in like 2007 to 2010, I can't even talk anymore. Like around 2010, it really started picking up big time.
And what was that turnaround? What made it turn around?
I just think just the new wave of people, like a new generation coming in, and people got sick of watching stuff at home. So people, that was, in the 90s is when the Bringer show came up, like we would do Bringer shows in the belly room, like do your one-man show or do shows around town and try to get people in. So I think it was just a matter of just constantly fighting to promote and get people in the doors, that people started wanting to go out again and got sick of sitting at home watching it on TV or on the internet. That, like after this pandemic, I'm telling you, I know people are going to be a little gun shy about going out.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to be as gun shy as we think they are, because
I think it's going to depend on where we are in terms of the
vaccinations,
virus and the vaccination, and how successful it is.
Yeah.
If really these deaths and these illnesses really, there'll be something, because that's always, people die of the flu. But I'm just saying, like, if it comes down to that type of a level, then that's really what's going to be the key. If this is successful, then I definitely think that people are going to be busting to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all like they can go and not get sick. They're going to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, once it gets to that point. So I'm just thinking around the fall that will start really opening up again, like Broadway will start to open up again, that we'll have enough of the percentage of the population vaccinated by then, because it's looking at the timelines of the vaccinations. I tried to register to see, oh, how far am I on the list? I want, because I really want it, like, I don't want to get this shit. And it says, you're not qualified. You're, I'm like, well, fuck you. Okay, but whose dick do I got to suck to get this vaccine in here? Goddamn.
Well, I think there's a line for that too.
Yeah, exactly.
But it means you're healthy. It means, it's probably good that you're not in the front of the line.
I know, right?
so I mean, because I'm okay with that. Totally. But we'll see. Listen, I'm holistic. I'm into like, nutrition and vitamin therapy. I don't really like to take
Absolutely.
anything unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah,
The
smart.
whole bit, the whole
Smart.
bit. That's how I am.
Smart.
I'm not into drugs. I don't smoke. I don't, I
Because
just
you're
like
smart.
a little red wine, a couple
Oh.
glasses a month. That's my big vice. Okay.
Right.
That and I like a lot of cookies, but that's a whole that's a different, but so so I'm not, but that's me. But and I hope, I pray that there's not going to be many side effects. I mean, the thing that I'm hesitant about is not that the scientists aren't smart and listen, I think that for the most part, proper protocols were taken and stuff like that. I mean, like, I have a little bit of faith. But it's the fact that we haven't had this for a very long time. Like, listen, all kids should get the mumps and rubella and the measles. And I mean, I'm for that. That's been around for 50, 60 years, like I'm for that. There's enough data on that. I think that's been perfected. The thing that I hesitate with is just because it's been a short period of time. That's the only
and
thing.
understandable. And I was laughing with a
It
friend of
makes
mine.
me a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, I was laughing with another friend of mine, a comic, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to wait. I said, you got no choice because you're healthy and you're not out. You're at the bottom of the list. So you have no choice to wait, darling.
Right.
But
It's kind of, and again, I'm very conflicted because it's probably, again, depending on how this thing goes. Listen, what I'm praying on that somehow this freaking thing dies, and like is something else, you know what I mean? Or dies in a lower form. I don't know. Although every time Fauci talks, he talks about a new strain. So,
because it mutates, viruses mutate.
That is one from Denmark. So then I'm like, well, then does this vaccine cover that? So it's a whole thing, but not to get all into the vaccine. But what I was going to say was, the travel, because they're talking about if you want to travel, especially out of the country, then you're might have to get vaccinated, and that would be on your passport. Like I worked I was an auditor, so I worked in identity theft and security. I've done a lot of different accounting. Right. So I got that mindset, like I've got that paranoia mindset always.
Hilarious.
So that like bothers me. Like, and again, I want everybody to be healthy. I don't want to bring diseases to other countries and vice versa. I mean, I get that, of course, but like, it's just that personal information that makes me a little nuts. And then you have to get vaccinated. Now, if you go to, as a matter of fact, and I'll just use this as an example, I would have loved to have gone to perform for the troops in the Middle East, but there is a host of vaccines that you need to get for you to do it. And I just didn't want to take the vaccines, which sounds selfish because all the soldiers took the vaccines. But I don't know. I guess I'm like a tiny person. I feel like it's just, something will happen to me. Again, it's my own kind of paranoia.
Right. That's fine. Absolutely.
At the end of the day, most people I think are on board with the vaccines. Yeah. Certainly, the older people are. They'll knock you down.
Oh, I have rich friends that are older, like in their mid 60s and 80s, that are like, they will kill somebody for this vaccine. They're trying to buy it. I'm like, when the richies want it, this shit is good, because if the rich people didn't want it and wanted nothing to do with it, thought, oh, we're too elite for this, then that shit's bad.
And you know what? In reality, if I were living down in, Boca del Vista and all my neighbors were dropping dead, I probably would think differently, because a lot of these people are watching their friends die.
Yeah.
And their spouses and everything. Yeah. So I get it. But anyway, getting back to your, go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
I was going to say, when you say to travel, because, we're comics, we travel a lot. And, I want to go to Australia and do stand-up. I want to go to the UK. And I'd be like, if they want to put it on my passport that I've been vaccinated, honey, I'm using that as a dating tool. You know what I mean? I'm going to use that to get dick. I don't even care. I am so fucking, I am so coronavirus free, bitch. You can pound this out. Look, I even have it in writing from the government that this pussy is clean, honey.
we used to worry about chlamydia. I mean, that's like a
Oh,
cold now, you know.
yeah.
It's like
Please, little Theraflu, your chlamydia is gone.
right. So it's like I don't know. Yeah, I can't even imagine dating in this environment. Another thing I have a lot of empathy for, but that's why if my husband left me, I say it in my act too. I'm done. I'm done on a lot of for a lot of reasons.
Right.
I just don't have the patience for it. But yeah, no, the vaccine hopefully will work, and it'll work well, and people won't have side effects to it. And
we've wiped out so many plagues. I mean,
that's
hundreds of plagues. So I kind of trust it because we've wiped out so many plagues already.
That's why when and I know we're kind of veering into another topic, but you're on Facebook, I'm on Facebook. There's been a lot of politics, a lot of fighting.
I don't get involved. I stay out of it.
Me too. Look, I just want to make people happy. I mean, that's like I want to make money. I want to make people happy. I want to do my thing. I don't want my family to, fight. I just like, I like pretty little things. I'm very girly. I like to get my nails done. I like to entertain. I like to entertain, and I like to see entertainment. So it's become very sad when I see, especially our brethren, fighting, because let me tell you something, after the end of this, there's going to be some people that are not friends anymore. Okay. I mean, not just our industry, but just in general.
I've lost a lot of friends.
And it's just like, listen, I don't hate Trump. I don't hate Biden. I want them to do good. Like Biden, not my favorite. Okay. I can give you a list of things that I don't think, that I wouldn't have particularly as opposed to as a candidate, wouldn't have liked, but you know what? He's going to be the president. I want him to do well. I hope he kind of, because they talk about him being very like in the middle. I think that's really what we need, because these extremes are not working.
This country is too diverse.
Right.
We have way too many people from all different parts of the world. There's thousands of languages spoken here. So what you need to run America, because it's such a big country, we're huge. So you need a liberal centrist to run this country, because you need someone in the middle of the road, but yet open-minded to change if it comes down the road, because humans, we progress, we grow. We have to, we progress as a society, we progress as humans, that's just the way it is. That's life. You have to have someone that's middle of the road to be able to cater to everybody and kind of, speak evenly with everybody, so everybody's on the same page and doesn't feel left out or behind, but also open-minded enough to know that, hey, there's a lot of different people in this country, and it's a large country, and we have to hear all the voices, and we have to make sure that we progress along with society.
Well, we have to be fair.
And that's all it is.
And as an accountant, what makes me crazy is, and this isn't just this is the going 30 years now, is the fiscal irresponsibility and the waste. And when people talk about money, I always come back to, just remember, this is your money. Okay. When they talk about spending money, they are spending your money. They work for us, everybody. And what's bothering me, and again, this has been going on for a long time, not just this last administration or the one before, is it's happening like in our own state, in New York State. It's like it's becoming a kingdom. These politicians have become celebrities. That's not their job. Their job isn't to sell 1 million books. And I'm not about like people should make money, and I'm okay. I mean, I'm a capitalist. It's like, that's fine, but I feel like the priority for some is to be on every TV show, to sell, to write or get a ghostwriter, and write 3 books a year and go on speaking engagements and go that. First of all, that's supposed to be for people that have already served their term, not while you're like Cuomo wrote a book. Obviously, he got a ghostwriter. I realize that, but it's like, dude, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. This thing is far from over. Okay. You're writing a book about how great everything is. 30,000 people in the state have died already. I mean, why don't you just, I'm not saying don't write the book. I'm not saying maybe you want to wait. Okay. So we're like at least over the hump, before you go fucking writing a book. So like that, we talked about right in the beginning when you talked about the comic after you, the ego. It's like there's so much ego, and years and years ago when you ran for an office, it was about serving the people. And I really feel most of them, and this is both sides, and again, this is what I see, it's more, I feel like we're serving them, and that bothers me.
Well, it's like having an agent or a manager.
Right.
It's the same thing. And I'm sorry to say it, but that's capitalism, because we end up working for the big corporate dollar. We end up working for these privatized companies, and the government is another privatized company that we pay into, and they're supposed to work for us, but it ends up that we work for them. And there's things that big countries make money off of is slavery, poverty, and war. Those are the 3 big money makers. So if you can cut wages and not let wages rise up with the inflation rates, because the inflation goes up, but the wages don't. And then people start having to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. Or they got to take a 3rd job on the side to try to make ends meet, just trying to catch up. It becomes like this hamster wheel, and you can't get out of it. And it just, and people forget that it's like, well, living wage and a quality of life is a human right. You shouldn't have to be so overwhelmed and working 3 jobs because inflation's going up, rents are going up. Look at New York City, how fucking expensive it is here. And it took a pandemic to get the rates to come down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and if they're dropping the rates down that much, they're still making money.
Well,
so it's like,
I can't speak.
It's a big glass bubble.
Right. I can't speak for I can't speak for the rest of the country. I could speak for this. Mm-hmm. And I completely agree. The rents were out of control and
way out of control.
And you know what? It's still high, but it's at least it's a little bit more, but it's.
But I can wrap my head around it now a little bit.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That seems doable.
Yeah. What I feel has happened here is that there was a lot of foreign investment and foreign money. So there's, like, for example, not far from where you live, 57th Street, that billionaire row. So those apartments are the ridiculous. I mean, it's just beyond.
Well,
they're bought by Chinese, Russians, Saudis. And by the way, those people don't even live there.
Nope.
So they don't care about the quality of life.
New York City was sold in like 99, 98. Giuliani sold it to the highest bidder to clean out all the crime, which is great. Got the crime out, pushed it downtown, wherever he pushed it to, paid off the mob, sent them to Staten Island, and sold the fucking real estate to overseas, to the Euro trash that don't live here. They buy these buildings.
Japanese, too.
The Japanese, the Russians. Yeah. Like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of like Saudi and Russian apartment building owners, and they don't even live here. They've never lived here.
So that's my point. And thank you. So that is exactly my point.
Mm-hmm.
So the demographics have changed. So they don't give a shit if the garbage isn't picked up. They don't give a shit about the homeless. Now, I also feel that all these cities and start by local government. And I think the one thing that we seem not to argue with on Facebook is that we all can't stand de Blasio.
Yeah, we all have an understanding.
I think that is the one thing that has brought us together, because this guy, aside from the fact he just has no soul, and
he's got that same
he's so arrogant.
He's got that same that same fucking narcissistic tendency that Trump has. Like he's made it to like a celebrity. Like when he went to take off to go run for president, I go, if you fucking leave, you're out, dude. I won't let you back in this fucking city. I'll fucking have you whacked. I don't give a shit. Take your Red Sox fan ass the fuck out and go back to Boston with your dyke wife who fucking pocketed that guy. That's a fucking dude. Charlene McRae, I don't give a shit. You know, I love my sisters, but that's a brother. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You know, fuck both of them. They could shove their fucking Bostonian Red Sox fucking baseball hats up their fucking ass. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, no,
and then he stayed on the campaign trail when he had no shot, and he wouldn't come
that
home.
shows you his ego.
Yeah, that's that same narcissistic thing that Trump has.
I'm like, nobody likes you.
We hate you. We hate you at home. You can't even come home without getting your fucking ass clowned. And you're gonna go to Iowa. Well, I have some issues I need to tell, and I want to get these issues on the table. No, you don't. You just want to hear the sound of your own fucking voice.
And as we've seen our beautiful city disintegrate, your ex-city, Los Angeles, is also hurting incredible. And I was out, I don't know, when was the last time you were in LA?
2014.
So I went in when did this freaking thing start? So I went in 2019, August 2019. My uncle had lived in LA for many years. As a matter of fact, he moved, had nothing to do with the pandemic. He moved before he was looking to get out.
Of course. Yeah.
His timing couldn't have been better. And he moved like 3 hours north. But anyway, so I've been going there for years, you know, I refused it. I went 2019, but I went 2019. And I think before that, I was like there in, I don't know, 2 years before something. Anyway, each time that I have gone, I've gone like almost every 2 years or so. The homeless was beyond. And now it's like, you know, I talked to friends in LA. I mean, it is just,
it's so bad.
It's inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable.
You know what's happened? Because when I left, downtown LA was still a ghost town. It was totally uncharted territory. You know, when the sun dropped, the gangs came out, and it was rough down there because we used to do a lot of film shoots in downtown LA. So so when you're down there, you're like, what the fuck? So thank God we had trucks and everything blocked off and shit and security. But dude, you didn't want to be in downtown LA after dark. It was kind of like, it'd be like in East New York at night. You didn't want to be there because you'd get shot. And it was all gang and drug territory. Well, what did they do to downtown LA? Because it was a ghost town. Nobody went to downtown LA. Everybody lived in Hollywood, West LA, Beverly Hills, Westwood, Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey. Everybody went west. Nobody lived east. If you lived east near Dodger Stadium, like Echo Park was scary. Highland Park was scary. You know, you never went there. Now it's like Brooklyn over there. It's like totally changed. But what they did with downtown LA is when they built that, after they built the Staples Center, then they redid the Great Western Forum. And they started building all these right before I left in 2005, around 2003, around 2003, they started building high rises around downtown, around 7th and Figueroa was like the main intersection. And that's where the new subway goes down to for the financial district. So they started building these high rises. Now they've totally sold all that land to these developers, just like they did in New York. And now the rents down there, and that's where the homeless live. They had shelters down there. They had low-income housing. They kicked all these people out, built these high rises, and left them on the streets with nowhere to go. And it was so vast. People don't realize how many people occupied downtown LA that were low income or homeless or lived in shelters or whatever. And now these people are all pushed out on the streets because all that shit's been demolished and taken over by development money. And it's fucking disgusting.
And who's in there now? Because people are leaving the state of California like they're leaving the state of New York. Yep. And there's the thing, especially with LA, there's so much land that you can actually build. I mean, and think about the money too, for all the money that's spent for getting these people, the hospital, the crime they commit, whatever. You could just, I'm about fiscal responsibility. It's like allocate the money, spend the money, get them a facility, get them help, They need
Yes.
help. They
Yes.
need, like here,
Yes.
like just as example,
Yes.
they're putting them in hotel. And again, I'm all for making money and capitalism and whatnot, but we got to take care of these people because you know what? On the street is worse. So they put them in the hotels on the
Oh, yeah.
on the upper, you know, about what's going on the Upper West Side.
Well, I'm
At
surrounded.
$400
I'm surrounded by them in the theater district.
$400 a night, $300 a night, but no care. They need care. They need a therapist. They need a therapist.
Where and that's
they need
a facility.
counselor.
Yeah,
They
so they can function in society because a lot of these people are literally mentally ill and they turn to drugs and they can't function, so they end up on the streets and they're doing drugs to quiet the voices or the pain or whatever's going on. And oh, let's just throw them, you know, I'm surrounded by homeless shelters here in Hell's Kitchen because of the theater district. All these hotels are home. I've been punched twice in the last year by crazy homeless people.
Right. That happened to you. Yeah.
The first time I didn't, you know, I didn't expect it. The second time I saw it coming and blocked it. But it's like, you know, they don't belong in a hotel. They belong in a facility that's going to get them the care they need so they can function and feel like a human and actually be proactive in society and have some kind of what kind of a life is that? Right. That's horrible. So Charlene McRae, where's that 850 million from Thrive NYC?
It's $1 billion. It's $1 billion.
It's $1 billion?
It's $1 billion.
Of course.
And they don't answer.
No, they don't
answer the question.
Nope.
This is what I'm saying. Like, how is that possible? This is the kingdom. How is that? They're not accountable.
No.
It's incredible. Where is the law? Where's the attorney general? Where's the governor? Where is everybody? Why is this happening? Who do they know? Who do they have pictures of with animals? What is going on? I just don't understand it. That's a ton of money. That's so much money. I can't get, it's like, I can't wrap my hand. And the arrogance. And then you're fucking New Year's Eve, you're dancing. You're fucking dancing.
Yeah, while we're all stuck at home.
This is what I can't. This is what it just blows my mind. And they're just one example of, again, I'm not saying everybody, but some of this arrogance. You work for us. You should be kissing my ring, okay? Yep. You work for us. And it's completely out of control. And let me tell you, LA, I loved going there for years. I can never live in LA unless like if I had a TV show that I worked on, you know what I mean? Like I never had the
you don't want to, LA is,
I'm in New
like
York.
A lot of my friends say, you should come home. I'm like, for what? It's easy. I'll tell you this. I've lived in both. I grew up in California and I've lived here 15 years. It is a lot easier to make money in New York than it is in Los Angeles. And you can get, even though New York's one of the most expensive cities in the country, it's still, you can get by on a lot less than you can in Los Angeles because Los Angeles is spread out.
Right.
There's no, like we're here, we're stacked like bodies. You know what I mean? This is a tall city. We're stacked on each other. LA, everybody, we all hate each other. So they live as far away from each other as possible. Nobody talks to each other. Right. It's just that way. There's no way to really interact, at least like in, you know, in your background right behind you, you know, when we're open, when we're functioning as a society and there's people out, there's always a hustle to be had in New York City. Right. You can have any hustle you want and you can make some money and you can get by. You don't need a car here because you can walk everywhere or you can take the train. The greatest fucking public transit system in the fucking country is New York City. It's the easiest city to get around, you know, and you don't need a car. So that saves you money. You can live, you know, everybody has roommates. You know, I thought like having a roommate when I moved here, I'm like, that's terrible. I've always lived by myself. And then, you know, you have to have roommates. It's not weird here to be over 40, or as my case, I'm 50, you know, to be 50 and have a roommate. It's not weird. You know, in LA, it's like, no, that's weird. It's like not being married. You know what I mean? Like in LA, you have a roommate. That's weird. You know,
what made you come to New York? What was the big decision?
Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney. Okay.
Paul Mooney, because I was working with him.
Okay.
And he was playing Carolines all the time. And he goes, honey, they love, honey, they love you in New York. You should leave LA, racist ass LA. You should come to New York. They love you here. So I said, you know, fuck it. I might as well. LA, there's nothing happening. It was dead. So I packed my shit and came here. And I was working Carolines with him every weekend, every other weekend. And then
Oh my God. So what about your family? I mean, are you close with your family? Are you what? So what
Yeah,
they like? Because, again, I'm Greek, so that doesn't fly.
yeah,
But go ahead.
yeah.
That
In
works.
a Gentile sort of way, I'm close. you know, my mom and I are close, but they're all in California, and my
Okay.
mom's very sick, so she doesn't. She's beaten cancer now like 65,000 times.
Uh-huh.
She's a heart patient, and she's telling me on the phone she's got Alzheimer's too. And she's like, I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm old. I said, bitch, you have beaten cancer, heart disease, this, that. You think I'm going to let you die on a ventilator
Right.
after all the fighting you've done? Fuck no. I go, you're getting that fucking vaccine if I have to kick your ass myself. And she's laughing because I always, talk shit to her. It makes her laugh. But
Do
I'm
you have,
close to her.
what about your dad? Is your dad
Oh,
around?
he's dead. And no, I was not close to him at all. He left when I was 4.
And then
Hi, that's why I'm a comic. Hi. I have issues with men. Pick me.
well, my father didn't leave my mother, but we all have issues. That's for
Right.
sure.
Hilarious.
What about siblings? Do you have siblings? And
I have I'm the baby. I have an
Uh-huh.
older brother and an older sister.
and they live out, but
They live out there. Yeah. My brother is like the head honcho. I forget his title, but it's like he runs the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco
Oh.
and protects all that stuff. He's the big
Uh-huh.
wig. And my sister is a meth head. So, she's
Got it.
very, ambitious.
Oh.
She's a CEO of Missing Teeth and Smoking Rock,
Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't care. She's dead to me.
I'm,
So
I'm sorry to hear that. Well,
yeah,
this is your house.
I call her Methy Elliott. So
So that's funny. That's so funny. So you were to get back to the store for a second. So
Yeah.
that was an exciting time. That documentary I thought was so interesting, and they went through the Richard Pryor days and Freddie Prinze. You know who we had on the show?
Who?
Alan Bursky.
Oh yeah, I know Ellen very well.
People that worked there. He worked there parking cars. He was the
Yes.
youngest person to be, I'm assuming it's still this, well, obviously Johnny Carson isn't on anymore, but he was the youngest person to perform on Johnny Carson. He's 18. It's all because they saw him at the Comedy Store.
Yep.
So just very, I love those stories. I love that time. I think I also love the sort of like the later on I find Joe Rogan, his career, the whole thing very fascinating.
Joe's amazing. Joe,
Really,
I've watched him every night for 10 years at the Comedy Store.
A new respect for him. I'm listening to his podcast. There's just something about him. The guy is a go-getter.
He's very smart. He's
Very
funny.
smart. Very smart. Yeah,
He's a great performer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves. The thing I love about Joe is that he loves comedy so much. He's such a fan. Not only is he a great comic and a great performer, he's a fucking fan. And he's one of those guys, and this is what I always loved about him. His ego, no. He knew what he did. He knows how good he is. He doesn't have to flaunt it or act like he's better than it. He doesn't. He's very humble. If somebody's on stage that's funny, he gives it up. He will like celebrate you and talk about how funny you are and totally celebrate funny comics and has no ego about anybody upstaging him or being funnier than him. He has no ego. And that was one of the one things I always loved about him back in the, and he's still like that. He hasn't changed. He's the same guy.
Yeah, he's got it, he's got that it factor.
Yeah.
But Bill Burr there.
Oh, Bill's great.
I didn't realize it. So in 2013, I opened for Sebastian Maniscalco at Uncle Vinny's Comedy Club in Point Pleasant.
Oh, nice. I remember when he first got to the LA.
I didn't know who he was. And it was a Saturday night. It was 2 shows, and Uncle Vinny's is I don't know if you ever played there. It's a restaurant with a little stage, and
Yes.
I don't know, 70 seats, 80 seats if you squeeze them in, and it was packed. And I'll never forget. There's no green room or anything. You sat in the corner, whatever. So we were in Dino's office, and he introduced me to Sebastian. And then I was going to introduce Sebastian, so I was like trying to remember his name. When you first hear it, it doesn't.
Yeah.
click,
Mhm.
absorb into the MC brain. So I kept saying his name over and over again in my head. And I'll never forget. I was like, hey, and he was very nice. He was very nice, but he was very intense. And he was like, okay, you're gonna do 20, and then I'm gonna come. You're gonna introduce me, and then
Yeah, that's Sebastian.
up, and we're gonna and then we're gonna do the second show, and then okay. So I was like, okay, and I go, hey, I'm Greek and you're Italian. He's like, oh, that's good. You're Greek. Okay, good. And that was it. And I saw right away, thank God I have decent instincts. And I could tell him like, this guy doesn't want to chat. Not that, I need to always
No,
do
he's very, but he's very quiet. He's very introverted.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him space. And by the way, there really wasn't a lot of space. It was Dino's office. And then there was the back in the corner. So I was like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to go out there. I said, if you need me, let me know, this and that, whatever. So I go up, I do 20 minutes. I had a great set. It was a great audience. And I brought him up and he did, he did his thing. And it was very funny too, when I think back now. So again, there's no stage and he's so physical. So he's literally like, he had a great set, but I'm just saying, he was just moving, not the way he normally moves. Anyway, and then afterwards people went over to him, we started the second show, and then that was it. I said good again after the second show. People went up to him. I went to say goodbye to him, and again, very polite. I didn't take a picture, nothing. And so I remember Dino saying to me, this was February of 2013. He goes to me, we're in the back of the room. We're watching him. I'm like, oh, he's really funny. And Dino goes, this is the last time I'm going to be able to get him. He's about to explode. He's doing the Borgata, the big room, the theater in August. He's never going to come back here again. I said, okay. Then the next weekend I read in page 6. I saw that he was going to be at Gotham, wherever it was, online, whatever.
Right.
I was like, oh, I should really go down there and hang out. And I just worked with him and stuff like that. And I think it was like, I got lazy and I didn't go out. Then I read the next week in page 6 that Jerry Seinfeld was there and his wife, and they were, and then she was talking him up on Instagram and all this other stuff. And then he ultimately he pretty much from there like exploded. So when I watched the documentary and I read a part of I didn't get to finish reading. I've read a part of his book. When you hear his story though, he was a waiter at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills.
Yes, he was.
And he would on his break, come to the Comedy Store, do a set, go back and work. And he talked about it on the documentary, which I thought was fascinating. And I love stories like that because people have to know it's not easy. There really are very, very, very few. I'm not saying there's none, but there's very few overnight sensations. This guy's been doing it. He was doing it for 20 years, for the most part. And that was complete commitment. But I love that they showed that piece of him on the documentary as well.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting because he was so Italian, and you would have thought that he would have come to like New York would have been a little bit more inviting to him because it's more ethnic here. But interesting. I don't know.
But he came to the Comedy Store at the right time when The Sopranos was big.
Oh,
so when The Sopranos was big, Mitzi passed every Italian guy that's showcased. And we all looked at her and went, Sebastian? He was terrible when he started out. Terrible. And we were all like, Sebastian got passed? But she saw it. And we didn't believe her.
Yeah.
And Mitzi knows when she passes you, you got something special.
Very interesting. What was Mitzi like to you? Like, what was your relationship with her?
Wow. She was really good to me. We got, she used to call me, oh, you're my all around girl. And because like usually guys work the door, guys work the cover booth, guys work the lot, guys work there. So a lot of comics, all the comics worked at the Comedy Store when they started out. So I was a waitress. Waitresses at the time were not allowed to talk to comics unless they were ordering a drink from them. And we weren't allowed to talk to them or fraternize with them. We were supposed to do our job and shut the fuck up. And because Sammy Shore ran off with a waitress in 76 to Vegas, and that's how she got the store because they opened it in 72. So Mitzi had a thing about waitresses. Well, I had blonde hair at the time. And they were like, you can't have blonde hair. Or like, I did my hair blonde for a show, then I dyed it dark and it was fine. But they're like, you want to be a comic? And I said, yeah, that's why I got a job here. And they're like, you're not allowed to. So I'd have to hide during the open mic or the employee sets during the potluck, or I'd have to go in the belly room and make sure she wasn't in the building. They couldn't put my name on the employee list to go up on potluck night because it was open mic from 7 to 8 or like 7 to 9 and then 9 o'clock, like 7 to 8 or whatever, 7 to 8:30. Then they'd have the employee comics. And then they would do Mitzi showcases at 9 from 9 to 10. Then 10 o'clock, they'd shift MCs and it would be the pop-ins. So the paid regulars could just pop in and do a spot. They could sign up on a sheet, say, hey, I'm here. I want, so they would come in first come, first serve. Unless it was a celebrity, they bumped everybody. So they would always have to keep my name off of it because they didn't want me to get fired, because she was all about that. But because I was doing the phones, I worked in accounting. I was assistant talent coordinator with Scott Day and then Duncan Trussell. And then what else did I do? I worked cover booth. So I pretty much did all these jobs. So she used to call me her all around girl. And then she found out I was a comic and she saw the list and they put my name on the list and they gave her the wrong list at the meeting. And my name was on it. They're like, oh shit, we didn't take Christy's name off. Oh shit. And she's like, Christy Miller. She goes, Christy's a performer. That's great. She was so happy. And they're like, whoo, she's not. So I didn't have to hide anymore. So then she let me develop. And then I finally showcased and she made me a regular. And
Amazing.
yeah,
That's
so
amazing. That's so great.
When I got off stage, she goes, good job, call in for spots. I'm proud of you. So funny. And she was good to me.
You really got to experience part of history, comedy history. So yeah. I think that's great. I did perform at the Comedy Store. I want to say twice.
Okay.
One was the Belly Room.
Okay.
I got a guest spot. Comic friend hooked me up with someone that and I feel like I went there. I thought I performed a second time, and maybe I just went there just to watch. I think I went there to watch, or I did a late night spot. Maybe it was a late night spot in the main room. You would think I would remember. I remembered the Belly Room one. I remember that was a lot of fun. And I remember I walked, and then I did like my New York stuff. I had a great set because they were like, New York. Like all day was New York. It was like
New York comics do really well at the store.
Right.
Really well.
I could totally see that. That's when the second show, the other second thing I did was it was like a very late night thing. But anyway, it was a very interesting place.
Yeah. The greatest room in the country is the original room. That's the greatest room. That's the hardest to play in the country.
Really?
I played many rooms in my day. The Comedy Store original room is the hardest room. And when you got them, it is amazing. That room will put hair on your chest. And I used to tell Mitzi, I want to get better. Because the headliner would go on it. Because, it was a continuous show from 8 to 2. There was a comic every 15 minutes. And there'd be on the weekend, she put Joe Rogan as a headliner. So he'd get 30. Or Holtzman would get 30, or Dom Irera, or somebody like that, or Dice, or whatever, whoever was in. The headliner would go on at 10 to 10:30. They always blew the light anyway, so whatever. But I always asked her, I said, put me on after Rogan, put me on after Dice, after Irera, after the headliners. I want to get stronger. Put me on after them. So there was many a nights I had to follow Joe Rogan in the OR after he just raped the audience like a tiger and just annihilated the place. And then people are getting up to leave and you got to handle it. But that made me so strong. And I am so grateful for Mitzi Shore for giving me those death spots to teach me how to be a comic and how to handle it. So when I would open for Paul Mooney or when I open for Dice Clay, it's, Paul Mooney and Dice Clay are two extremes, but one's extreme this and one's extreme this. But it's still the same. I could still go up and someone said, how does you work with Paul Mooney for all those years. How is it working for Dice? And I said, it's the same. it's crazy because it's extreme. I go, my act is so crazy and insane. And so, I have a lot of energy and I don't give a fuck, that they just play right into it. They love it. So I do really well. But because of Mitzi letting me have those fucking shit spots where you have to eat it after a headliner in the middle of the show. And that's when the second half, and that's when late night at the store happens. We call it late night at the store. That's when the magic happens, is late night at the Comedy Store. There's been so much incredibly crazy shit that's happened in that club. And I wouldn't trade my years there for the world, and I miss it a lot.
Wow. I predict that you have a book in you somewhere. You have a book of great, unique stories. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
Because just listening to you, this can go on for hours and hours.
Right.
You got a lot. You got a lot in that beautiful head of yours. I love having you. I want to ask you a couple of more things. So
please, anything.
The other night, you do your show. You were hilarious. And you were hilarious. And you were so for people that don't know, okay, New York is still fucking closed, okay? Yeah. and these poor restaurants we're eating in the bus lane. Okay. You could basically have a pastrami sandwich and fumes at the same time. It's fantastic, and now they've built like igloos and tents and pop-up tents, like at wardrobe, like when you're doing like on a TV set, wardrobe. And it's insane. It's crazy. And they're taking up spaces in the street and people are going out there and they're freezing their asses off. Mm-hmm. And so you were talking about that. And you were also talking about, which I was so happy. And I've actually mentioned it, but you said it much funnier than me. It's not COVID that's going to get us. It's the bicycles.
Yeah.
Because not only there's the bike, and listen, it's not about not being green and all this fucking shit. It's not about that. New York, first of all, to me is more of a walking town and a subway town. This bike lane thing is a little too pussyfied for me. Okay. I'm just going to say that. And the thing is, I'd be okay with it if they obeyed the traffic rules. But when you got a guy on a bike speeding with his Walkman, listen to me, with his little bitch buds on, okay, vaping with his knapsack and going in the opposite direction, okay, from that, because when you're crossing the street, it's one way, you look that way, you don't think to look the other way. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. So basically, we're more apt to get hit by a bike than we are COVID.
Yeah. When I literally stepped out.
And so you had this whole great thing about that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad somebody else is like, why is nobody complaining? Number two, the bikes should have licenses. Yes, I said it, licenses. And you know what? I'm a very anti-fee person, but I feel that if I'm talking about like especially the delivery ones, I feel like they should have a license. Some of them don't even have a light on their bike, okay? There should be some kind of way that they know that there's like an accountability. They should pay a fee for and I'm not talking about $1,000, like some kind of fee to register to ride these bikes. Now we got the electronic thing and the scooter and the fucking skateboard that lights up. And again, everybody's vaping, they're smoking pot, they're going, it's insane. This is like not the New York that I grew up in.
This is totally, I don't like it. It's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is what it is. Like it's all a free for all. It's like the Hunger Games, and we're out there fucking fighting.
We're eating each other.
Yeah. I'm hungry. We're sitting outside.
You mentioned it also, which I was like, I'm so happy. I thought I'm like, because I feel like I'm the only one. Like I'm sour grapes. It's like not that. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And then you talked about eating outside. You're freezing your ass off. I mean, it's crazy.
And they had no heaters. Like this place had no heat.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, ribs, how do you take, I'm like, out, the fucking waiter had 13 pairs of gloves on and like gardening gloves and they didn't fit. And I'm like, hey, that's OJ's glove, isn't it? And he couldn't even hold the plate because it looked like an oven mitt coming off his hand. It looked like, the hamburger helper hands on him. Like, and I was just like, is this a clown? Like, is this a bad gardening mime? Like, what is happening? And he couldn't like hold anything because he had like 30 pairs of gloves on and they were huge. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is, what? And then I went to go to the bathroom and I look, but you can't see because it's closed. So I step out, this Uber Eats, whatever fucking guy, I fucking jumped. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm not going to die from COVID. The fucking Uber Eats is going to kill me in 30 minutes or less. What the fuck is happening?
You explained it so well in joke form, and I was like, brilliant. Like, that is exactly what is happening. Like, people don't realize, like, this is, so again, going back to fuck on de Blasio, like, this is not okay. And I think you mentioned it, you can't use the bathroom, right? You can't, now they're in the restaurant, they won't let you in the bathroom. So here you're outside, you're freezing, you gotta pee, right? When you're cold.
They actually let you use the bathroom.
You were able to? Because I heard some restaurants weren't letting you use the bathroom.
No, if you're eating there, they let you use it.
Oh, okay.
But if you're doing like, some restaurants were discriminating. What it was some restaurants wouldn't let the delivery guys use the bathroom that were taking food from their restaurant and delivering it. And they were asking if they could use the restroom because they have to pee. These guys, thank God for these guys, because these guys helped me during the pandemic, having shit delivered that I never thought. I'm like, could you deliver a mattress and a bottle of water and, some hairspray, something that I could light on fire and kill myself with? But these fucking guys would deliver everything. And I'm like, God bless them, and you won't even let them pee while they're picking up for your restaurant. And that was what the whole thing was about, not using restrooms. So they said you have to let the delivery guys that are delivering for you use your bathroom if they need to. Like, there was a kid on my stoop, he had his computer out and he was studying, and I sat out and I came outside, and I'm a comic, and this poor young kid didn't know. And I go, what is this, your office? Like, I was busting his ball. I didn't care, because I'd rather see a young brother sitting there on his computer learning than smoking weed and getting high on my stoop and hotbox in my apartment. So I said, what is this, your office? Like, I was fucking around. And he got really scared. I'm like, no. I go, what are you studying? And he goes, I'm going to school to be a nurse. And his bike was parked and tied up to the pole, which was a delivery bike. So he's probably on his break, and he just took time to sit down and do his schoolwork. And I was like, young king, you keep studying and sit here as long as you want. I go, don't let anybody push you off of here. I go, it was just like, it was really cool. I'm like, here's this poor kid is delivering food just to make ends meet, making minimum wage and shitty tips. And he's stopping to actually stop and study. So you could, it's like, and you guys won't even let him use the fucking pisser? The fuck out of here.
So just, listen, I admire these people and I think it's great. I just want them to drive safe. That's all.
Yeah.
I just don't want them
I hate when they ride on the sidewalk and they aim at you. So you know what I do? I'm a fucking wall. So I'm like the Kool-Aid man, so it takes a lot to knock me down. So when they'll ride up on the sidewalk and I'll just step over a little bit. Like, I'll block the sidewalk. I don't give up. Like, what are you gonna do? Hit me on the sidewalk? I go, it's just fucking annoying. I've knocked guys down on bikes. On the sidewalk.
Not just delivery. I mean, it's just,
just assholes, just assholes, just random assholes.
Random asshole. Listen, I'm at the point, there's two groups of people in this world now, nice people and assholes. That's it. That's basically just it. So go to the left or go to the right. That's it. And then, either you're a good person or you're a fucking asshole. That's right. But you said that, I was cracking up, but it's true. It's just like, they're crazy. They're insane. So, but it's sort of like run amok. And, again, I've lived here my whole life, and I've kind of watched these streets with the bus lane, and then there's the island, and, the street gets smaller, but, the trucks still need to come in. And it's funny because they squeeze the cabs out, but it just got replaced with Ubers. It's not the amount of automobiles and trucks. is never going to go away. It's always going to be the same amount. We need to get our deliveries. People are going to use it as transportation wherever it is that they're going. That's the reality. So you can make the street, you can make all the avenues fucking one lane. It's going to still be the same amount. So I don't really like the whole configuration and dynamic. And I actually started with Bloomberg and his green thing. Really? Well, this is the thing. I haven't seen fucking Bloomberg on a bike. I haven't seen de Blasio on a bike. I haven't seen, okay, these guys ride in SUVs. So if this is what they're going to do to the city, I'm cool with that, but this is how you have to live. So again, go back to the kingdom.
Yeah, you know what I say? Cut all cars out of the city. Delivery trucks only and cabs. Not Ubers, but just like plain cabs. And make it regulated and just like the MTA. And you could pay a fare and get in these cabs or whatever it is. But all these jerk off their car from like the Upper East Side and drive 5 blocks down the street and then have to go somewhere. Get the fuck out of here.
You know, that's funny. I mean, we have a car, we have an old car. We do not do that. We, as a matter of fact, when we get a good spot, we fucking stays there. And we use the car to leave the city.
Yeah. Like normal people do.
But I do, no, my sister and I actually have a friend who I love, but she drives everywhere. And it almost drives us crazy that she drives everywhere. Like,
but how can you? It's so congested. I live in the heart of, I'm like a block off of Times Square.
Right.
So I'm a block away from TKTS. You know, when Bloomberg shut it down at Broadway to make it all pedestrian, now all the traffic comes down my street. And it's always bumper to bumper. And if there's any one piece of construction going on, it just sets it all back up to 92nd Street.
Right.
From the floor. You know, it's just a nightmare. And why anybody would want to drive in this fucking city is beyond me when you have 2 good feet or a fucking bus system or a train system that'll get you there probably a lot faster.
Yeah, let me just say this. I hear, listen, I walk and train it everywhere, trust me. And I even taking a cab, when I would take a cab, when I would do late night at Broadway and it's 12:30.
I wouldn't want you on a train at that hour.
Right, and I'm not taking your train. But other than that, I train everywhere. But, I mean, I'm just giving you an example. I have a cousin whose husband, they live out, not that far out in Long Island, and he is, he's not doing this anymore, but he's very heavy. And they lived on the Port Washington line, right?
Okay.
And he worked in the garment center, whatever, but he was heavy and it was too uncomfortable for him to like go to the train and so he used to drive. That's my whole point. He would drive into the city, and that's just one little story. I just think that there are people that they're not into public transportation. They can't go up and down the stairs, whatever the situation. Yeah. I understand. I get it. Yeah. But sometimes that's not kind of always, that's not always.
Like I grew up in California where public transportation was,
Right.
That's so gross. That's for homeless people and crackheads.
But I agree. If you live in Manhattan, if you've gone to the trouble of living in Manhattan, part of living in Manhattan is knowing how to get around and,
But I also understand, like, if you live uptown, like in the 90s or 100s and higher, you would probably have to have a car because that's far up there. There's no trains really. There's no sufficient, transportation up there. I get it. But when you live in Midtown or downtown, you don't need it. Right. And I see people that live in my area and down that will drive just around town. I'm like, why would you do so? That would make me crazy. Like I would literally have road rage and end up on charges at the end of the day.
Right. No, I'm totally with you.
If I lived in Brooklyn or Queens, I would have a car.
Right. I mean, even if I'm in a cab and it's not moving, I have to get out.
I go crazy. I get out. I go, you know what? I can't.
I gotta walk. Yeah. Tell us what you are working on, what you're doing, what you're going to be doing after this thing is over. What's your plans? What's happening with you?
Right now in lockdown, I actually do 3 podcasts.
Okay.
And one is Christy Unleashed with JC Best, Wednesday nights at 9:00 on govsradio.com. And it's just trash talking the Hollywood headlines. And it's so much fun. It's kind of like a la Wendy Williams and Charlemagne. So yeah, the old Wendy Williams. So it's kind of like that kind of, but I'm a lot meaner and funnier than Wendy. And I don't have to go, how you doing, to get a laugh. So, and then my other podcast is
hacky, but anyway,
and my other podcast is Mondays at noon on my YouTube channel. And you can find all the shows on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But it's on Mondays at noon. We put it on Facebook Live and on my YouTube channel. It's called Lunch Money with Gina Savage. Yeah. So we do a half-hour talk show at noon. Just talk about whatever's going on in the comedy world or whatever. And it's a lot of fun. It's cute. And then Friday nights on an app called Hot Mic, which is a broadcasting app. It was originally created for sports, so you could broadcast your favorite games or whatever. So it syncs to your television. And instead of listening to the regular broadcasters or commentators, it would sync you to the television, and your fans will listen to you broadcast the game. So they branched out during the pandemic to award shows and television and movies and kind of stuff like that because there's no sports. So I broadcast Friday nights at 8, RuPaul's Drag Race. And I do live commentary. I call it live Shady Boots commentary with my co-host, Tim Moss, who's an LGBTQ activist, singer, Broadway star, and actor. He's amazing. He's so funny. And we do that Friday nights at 8:00 on Hot Mic, and which is a lot of fun. And yeah, those are the shows. And then once this is all over, I'm getting the fuck out of this apartment. That's the first thing I'm doing.
I know the feeling. I know it's not good. It's not good. I mean, now even to go downstairs to do laundry, I become so lazy. I looked at my sneakers the other day. I go, nah, I don't have slip-on shoes. I'm not going out. Like, I mean, this is really what it's come down to. It's just
I only wash shirts.
Right. Oh my God.
Well, but I do get to go to the gym every day and work out.
I work out at home. I used to go to a dance studio, but now I do work out every day. That I do.
Good. You know? Yeah. I can't work out at home. I don't have the space, and the type of workouts I do, I can't.
Right.
Yeah. It's impossible. So I'm grateful. Thank you, God, that the gyms are open so I can lift heavy shit and feel like a human being again.
And you have to be masked.
Oh yeah. And the gyms literally have 0% rates of spread.
Right. Yes.
Because nobody really talks to each other.
Right.
It's, limited access. It's 25% capacity. You have to wear a mask. They walk around, they make sure, and you got to clean everything before you use it and clean it down when you're done, which is great. And my hands are so cracked and bleeding from washing them and disinfectant and all this shit. It's like the first thing I'm going to do is soak these hands in a bath, like I don't know what, in some baby's ass or something, just to make them, because they're so fucking.
No, I know. And by the way, I kind of do hope that this cleanliness procedure continues on forever, because really we should have been disinfecting, prior and after, before COVID, I was always a very big hand washer. So when I hear the wash your hand, I'm like, it's like nails on a blackboard. It's like, who is not washing? Why?
You'd be surprised. I was at the gym and I saw a girl use the bathroom and leave, and I'd go, whoa. Yeah. I had an eye infection a couple of years ago where I had to have surgery. I got blepharitis really bad, and it felt like there was glass in my eye, and my tear ducts got clogged and infected. So my eyes were really puffy. So I had to have surgery to have it cut out. And because of that, I've always carried hand sanitizer, wash my hands. I won't touch my face.
Pick something up.
Because I pick something up from the gym or from the mics, or the subway. Now the subways are being cleaned every night. Do you know how nice that is?
What a novel idea.
I know. And we're all wearing masks. Things are clean. The flu, like I heard someone was telling me that TheraFlu is going out of business. that
Oh,
they're
really?
because nobody's getting sick.
Well, no, there is. Yeah, the flu is like
Because we're wearing masks, because the Chinese have been wearing masks for years.
Right. Well, I don't know if I want to wear masks for the rest.
No,
of my
but I'm saying because of the mask, it's preventing it. But now I told myself, if we just keep the trains clean, if we went, even if that was the only thing that changed in New York City, that we keep cleaning these trains every day, you'd be surprised how much sickness and viruses like the basic flu and colds and shit will go down.
We can do a whole thing on what we've seen in the subway, but
oh yeah.
That's why when COVID first happened, I was like, we live in New York. Like, we've had everything. Like, I've had tuberculosis. Like, I know I've had polio. I'm sure of it. I've had whatever.
I went swimming in the East River just to get vaccinated from that shit because I felt something was happening. I'm like, I don't feel good. Jump in the river quick. And you come out and you're a brand new person.
Refreshing.
It's like the river whatever, like Jesus being Thank you. I can't. I'm tired.
I went to Israel. It's okay.
Oh, thank God.
So listen, give us all of your social, your website, everything, every place that we can find you, your 3 shows, the whole 9 yards.
On Instagram, I'm at Christy Miller Comedy, and my YouTube channel is Christy Miller Comedy. And you could also follow the hashtag strongest female comedian. I'm on the TikTok, but I don't know what it is. I think it's Christy Miller 917. I think it's my email. I can't, that's too high tech for me. Okay. And it's too much, but you can see all my shows on my YouTube channel, except for the Hot Mic show that airs live on Hot Mic and it's archived on their website. And what else? What other? I think that's it, right? I don't even know. Okay. Oh, Twitter at Bitchy Slambora, my old roller derby name.
Bitchy Slam. Oh my God, that's hilarious. And we will be out when we're out. When we're back out, we'll be at Broadway Comedy Club. You'll be at Caroline's. Yep. We'll be back on stage.
We will be. Yes, we will. Let's have a big like family reunion like type show. We should do like a pass the mic.
Yeah.
Show, like come up with like a pass the mic and just have us all show up like a party, like a, just hang out, have some food
out of the house.
Yeah. Like once it's safe, we should do it. I should, tell Al or tell, somebody, we should do a pass the mic where the comics show up, do 5 minutes and have food and just kind of have like a welcome back kind of show.
Right.
That would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Al would certainly be down for it for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. He really loves that shit.
He's really itching. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, beautiful.
Really appreciate it. Come back.
Please. Anytime.
You are adorable. I love
you.
I love you. You're so funny. Follow Christy Miller. She's so funny. Oh. And support comics, support comedy. Watch that Comedy Store documentary, by the way.
Yes, watch it.
I am Ellen Karis. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Greek Chick Comic and Facebook, Ellen Karis, Greek Goddess of Comedy. Go to my website, ellenkaris.com, to find this podcast and all the others. And just one more little plug because it just happened.
Do it.
I have my new children. This is the proof copy, but my new children, this is not good. My new children, I don't know how to do this.
It disappeared.
But my new children's book is out.
Pull it against you. Pull it against you. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Director. Looking short. Special people, godparents in the Orthodox Christian faith.
That's amazing. I'm so proud. That is amazing.
It's available on Amazon. It just came out this week.
Buy her book, everybody.
Thank you. It's cute. It's a children's book. I got more ideas. But anyway, all right. Thank you, everybody. Until next time.
Bye.